The call came while I was washing a mug I hadn't used since she moved out. Porcelain clicked against porcelain. My hands were steady. Like, comment, and subscribe Huna Stories for more stories. The voice on the other end was not. "Sir," the nurse said, and then lowered her voice as if the walls had ears. "Your daughter has been here 47 times this year. Please come alone. Don't tell her mother-in-law." The sink kept running. I stared at the small crack in the mug's handle. I'd noticed it years ago and never thrown it away. That felt important. I shut off the water. The house went quiet in a way that felt staged. 47. I asked for her name. The nurse hesitated, then gave it. She didn't say the hospital's name like a place, she said it like a warning. I didn't tell my wife. I didn't tell anyone. I put the mug back in the cupboard, crack facing inward, and took my keys. In the parking lot, I sat with the engine off. I watched people come and go. No one ran, no one screamed. That was the first lie of the day. The second was the thought that I could still turn around. Inside, the nurse didn't look surprised to see me. She slid a folder across the desk with the care you give a sharp object. It was thick. It had weight. It had my daughter's name printed cleanly on the front, as if cleanliness could survive what was inside. I didn't open it yet. I thanked her. That was when I knew this wasn't an accident. For 3 years, my son-in-law had been a model of calm. "She's slammed at work," he'd say, smiling in a way that never touched his eyes. "You know how driven she is." He spoke for her, always had. He paid for dinners, he answered her phone, he laughed at the right times, he made sure she wasn't available. The first time she missed my birthday, I believed him. The second time she missed her mother's, I told myself marriages rearrange priorities. The third time she didn't come when I had surgery, I felt something thin and cold thread through my chest and sit there, patient. Now the folder was open on my lap. Visits, injuries, imaging, notes written by hands that tried to stay neutral and failed, bruises described with careful geometry, fractures called accidental, anxiety marked as situational, pain noted, pain repeated. I turned pages slowly. I didn't rush grief. I didn't give it that power. There were gaps, days where she vanished from the record, then returns closer together. Someone had written, "patient hesitant to explain." Someone else had written, "partner present." Partner. My denial didn't shatter, it thinned. It became sharp. I closed the folder and asked for copies. The nurse nodded. She didn't ask why. I didn't confront him. I didn't call my daughter. I went home and sat at the table where she learned to write her name. I requested phone records. Not everything, just enough. Patterns don't need full sentences. I watched security footage from a neighbor's door camera I'd once helped install. He thought it was for package thieves. It was for memory. I noticed the way my daughter walked now, the pause before doors, the way she held her wrist when she thought no one was looking, the way silence followed her like a trained animal. I found an old email account she used in college. The password was the dog's name, misspelled the way she always spelt it. Inside were drafts, never sent, apologies addressed to no one, lists of groceries that read like plans, times written down, addresses crossed out. I stayed calm. Calm is a skill. Calm is what you learn when shouting never fixed anything. I made an appointment with a specialist. I brought the copies. I asked questions that didn't accuse. I listened when the doctor stopped speaking and let the room fill with what he couldn't say. When I left, the sun felt unnecessary. I invited my son-in-law to coffee. He arrived early. He always did. Control likes margins. I slid the folder across the table without ceremony. I didn't watch his face. I watched his hands. "Explain," I said, and let the words sit there, like a blade laid flat. He started with work stress. He pivoted to misunderstandings. He mentioned therapy. He said love. He said support. He said nothing about the fractures. I opened the folder to a photograph. Not the worst one, just the one with the wrist. Old injury, new healing, repeated force. He stopped talking. "I already know," I said. "I'm not here for a confession." He asked where she was. "At home," I said, "where you won't be tonight." His eyes finally met mine. There was fear there, yes, but there was something else. Calculation. Recalibrating. I smiled then. It wasn't kind. I didn't call the police. I did something slower. I filed a report with the hospital's advocate. I handed copies to a lawyer who owed me a favor. I emailed his employer's ethics board with attachments and dates. I sent a message to his mother, just the photographs and a single line. You raised him. I drove to my daughter's house while he was still at the cafe, hands shaking around a cup he no longer wanted. She opened the door and flinched. Then she laughed too loud, like she was apologizing to the air. I didn't touch her. I know, I said. You don't have to tell me. She sat on the floor. I sat across from her. I waited until her breathing remembered how. When she asked if it was her fault, I stood up and took the mirror off the wall. No, I said, and set it face down. He lost his job in a week, friends in a month, the house in 3. There were hearings, there were statements, there were nights where my phone buzzed and I didn't answer. My daughter moved back in. She slept with the light on. We didn't talk about forgiveness. We talked about groceries. I walk past the mug sometimes. The crack is still there. I leave it. Some things don't get fixed. They get seen. Thanks for listening. Like, comment, and subscribe HORRIFYING for more stories.